On this episode of Science with Shields, we're going to play a game of will it sink or will it float?
We are beautiful science, compliance, baby, you and me, a cosmic alliance, defiance.
Hey everyone, it is meteorologist Christy Shields, and on this episode of Science with Shields, we're going to use aluminum foil, and we're going to show you how you can make aluminum foil sink or float. So what do you need for this experiment? You're going to need a pair of scissors. You're also going to need some aluminum foil, which I have already pre-cut here, and you can use any, again, aluminum foil, and a bowl of water. And it's best if your bowl is clear so that you can see on the side or above it what's going to happen. So the first thing we want to do is take our aluminum foil, and we're actually going to cut some pieces out here of foil. And you don't need them to be too big. It doesn't really matter the size that you make them. And what we're talking about today is density, and density is mass over volume. So what density means is if you put it in water and it sinks to the bottom, that means whatever object or substance you have, it means it's more dense than water is. Now, if it floats on the top, then that means it is not as dense as water. So let's try this out. I'm going to use this aluminum foil, and I'm going to stick it in and see what happens. So when we stick that piece of paper in, not paper, aluminum foil in, you can see that it sinks directly down to the bottom, which means our aluminum foil is more dense compared to the water. Now, what happens if I took a piece of aluminum foil and I crumpled it up into a piece of paper? Now let's see if we stick this in. What happens? It floats at the top. Now, how is it that when it was flat, it sinks to the bottom, but whenever it is not flat, it floats on top? Well, watch this. Even if I push it down, it just floats right back to the top. And that all has to do with the fact that we actually created some little air bubbles in the aluminum foil when we kind of balled it up into a little ball. And with those air bubbles, it ends up making it less dense compared to the water. Now, what if we take this one that has sunk to the bottom and we crumpled it up into a ball? What do you think will happen? Let's try it out. So if we crumple this one at the bottom into a ball, it stays at the bottom of our water and it doesn't float to the top. And that's because when it's in the water, there's no air for it to be crumpled up into. So when you have the lack of air, it's going to stay sunk at the bottom because, again, aluminum is more dense compared to water. Really neat experiment, and you can play and do this with all different types of different substances and objects. Let us know how it goes. You can head over to WTAJ Plus and check out more episodes of Science with Shields.